We're going to be bringing up Lucas Schuster for our featured talk about, well, Lucas runs, of course, Syntactique, and he will be providing data for the hackathon, and he will be outlining their vision of people with T1D supporting each other through donated data for research. So we want to say welcome to Lucas now. Let me get him up here.
Ooh.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Can you hear me well?
I can hear you fine. I hope everyone else can. Okay, let me get your slides going. Hold on.
Cool. I got anyway a small apology. I got probably the best reverb of everyone because I'm in the cellar. The issue is that it's 1 a.m. In Austria, and my partner would probably skin me alive, and not even Loop could fix it if I would be in my flat. So I needed to find a good space. I hope it's fine with the reverb.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to stay up all night, basically, to be with us.
Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world. This is man, one of the things being the last, or one of the last ones between the next tables, is that there's so many cool people before me that are also inspiring that my imposter thing creeps up. But yes, thank you very, very much for the invite.
Okay, I'm going to hop off stage and let you get going here.
Yes, thank you very much. So, quick intro maybe, who am I? Next slide. I live with type 1 myself, and I had the pleasure in my last 12 years to work with some of the most amazing people that I've met in diabetes. I was one of the first employees of My Sugar, where I also met Frederick, who I'm working with now. And then there's 3 or 4 more people. One of them also, obviously, you know in the call, Teresa. Hello, and thank you very much for everything you do. Today, I wanted to give you a few updates on things I'm involved in, and then also go into the detail of the whole data donation thing. And give you some credit as the community, and want to say thank you on a couple of points. So next slide, please. A bit of housekeeping. Some people might know me from the whole cockpit context. For people who don't, just because it's going to come up, I want to give you a quick recap what that is. Cockpit is an iOS app. It's free. It's been out since 4 years, and it's built for having one place where all of your data can meet. That was what I was really angry with 5 years ago, before it took me a year to put the first version together, where I wanted to have analytics that cover lifestyle as well as insulin, carbs, and glucose and stuff like this. And so really finding out how sport and other things affect my glucose. As said, it's 100% free. It's built together with the community, so it will always stay free. We don't collect email addresses and everything else. It's very privacy focused. And it also has a data donation function that's going to be later important. And over 4,000 people have already chosen to donate data strictly for research. And that has been bloody effing amazing. And I'm gonna share more about what happened to that data and what's gonna happen in the future to it. Next slide, please. For the whole cockpit topic, one small update for the ones who use it every now and then or who have not known it. We now include also data about menstruation, as long as it is in Apple Health. I did hear and discuss with members of the community that there is this whole political menstruation tracking issue, which is extremely unfortunate and disturbing. So maybe that's an issue, but for now we pull from Apple Health, and we allow to correlate behavior with outcomes. And also you can then see if, for example, during menstruation or bleeding, your glucose would be different to some extent. We have experience, which I'm going to talk about in a second as well, because I think it's very exciting from both the data as well as user perspective. And then we also have new heart metrics. So we also pull in now average heart rate and other things to bring all of those things finally into the context of glucose and your therapy. We also track sleep and other things, but those are the new additions. Before we go to the next slide, one thing that Cockpit was set out to do, as I said in the beginning, was to shed light on how behavior is connected to glucose outcomes. And that I meant that in every sense, because I was really struggling with that 5 years ago. I mean, I still am, but it's a bit better. And Cockpit at the moment does a very good job at providing dashboards, at providing trends, and then also providing correlations. But that doesn't often mean that there's a causation there. And one thing that always struck me as very weird is, why can I, if I go to my doctor, for example, and I get the idea of, hey, have you tried to do more steps, or have you tried doing more cardio workouts? and then I go home and I don't see them for the next 3 months, I have no idea what the change did that I made eventually, or maybe didn't even make. So I completely lose track of all those things because there's no central place and there's no way to review those, let's say, interventions or experiments, if you want to call them. And so that's the next feature that I want to quickly walk you through because I think it's very exciting. Next slide now. Perfect. The idea is really to track a change in behavior and to try to collect data and knowledge on how does it impact your own therapy, because everyone's different, as we heard. Maybe I want to track menstruation, maybe I want to track a change in a feature that I activate or deactivate. Maybe I want to, I don't know, take morning walks or a walk after lunch. Anything like that, I might want to track progress. And so what we implemented in Cockpit now is that you can design your own like N of 1 experiments, which is a bit like a mini real world data study if you want. And so I'm going to quickly walk you through because video was a bit more complicated and I never know when to pause. So the idea with these experiments was that you can select what you want to work on. You select a target, which is the thing in the middle. That can be time and range improvement, that can be more stability, that can mean less time below range, all of those goals. And then on the next one, you select whatever you think you want to try to improve your target metric. And that slider, you can scroll vertically, and that's everything between sleep, sport, more carbs, less carbs, be it a basal rate update, be it a medication update, like you start taking metformin or you're trying Ozempic. And yes, also like a custom one in case there's like a special feature that I've never heard of in Everyday FES or in Trio, and you want to turn that on, you want to see what happens. And so next slide, please. When you chose what your intervention, your change should look like, you can select all the other things that are relevant, essentially. So you decide how long you want to run this. I think it's 3, 7, 14, or 30 days, depending on how long you think you can keep it up. Some changes are more difficult than others. And that's also something that I find very interesting. And then you basically confirm, and what's going to happen is the Cockpit is going to guide you through the whole duration. It's going to give you LLM-based push notifications that try to keep you on track. And once you're done, you're going to get a result page. And so you're going to see not only first, did you actually implement the change that you wanted to implement, which I think is a very interesting factor, because maybe if it turns out diabetes would be amazing if we'd all just, I don't know, get away with 3 hours of sleep at night, that might be a pretty difficult thing to do. And so I think how hard the change is to implement actually matters. And so first question that you get answered is, did you actually achieve what you set out to do? In the case of the screenshot where it's a basal rate update, that's fairly easy, but it's not the case for all the other things you can do. And then you also see, yes, you did make the change, but also what was the effect on the target metric that you wanted to achieve. And so it's kind of a review for yourself personally. You did a change in your therapy, and what did it actually result to? And you also can see all the other things that changed. In a more technical sense would be confounding factors and variables that changed in the same time frame compared to your baseline that you had before you started your experiment. And so all this data is collected. You can review this afterwards. And for me, this was very, very useful in processing and working through advice that I saw online, or working through tuning features in Loop, or working through any other change that I wanted to make, and trying to see if sleeping actually makes sense for me. And so I was very excited because I was really confused why this didn't exist so far. That's the user end. And then next slide, please. The other side of the coin for this feature, and that ties it back to the data donation part, is I really firmly believe that innovation, I mean, this is the best call for saying this, I know you all know, but innovation runs on data as well as lived experience. And we won't get further without it. The industry wouldn't be where it is without this group, without people who push the boundaries and who put in a lot of their free time and energy to bring this forward. And so part of why I made Cockpit is actually to give back and to say thank you, because I benefit immensely from all the work you're doing. The data side of things from experiments is something that I always was another question that I wrestled with, that I tried to, or hope that we can tackle with this, which is if you bring your reports or your data to a doctor, and you ask, well, what do I do now? Because the question, how am I doing, is pretty easy to answer nowadays. The more difficult thing is, what do I do once I know that I'm not optimally, like I'm not perfect yet? What do I need to change, or I'm not doing well at the moment? What do I want to change? And that's much more difficult to figure out. And so wouldn't it be nice if we had 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 N of 1 studies where we know exactly everything from that's going on in your life, including lifestyle, and which things actually work for people? I think that would be amazing if you could give at least a little bit of a practical, like mathematically grounded advice. And so this data is going to be also donated by people who run Cockpit, and people who, the 4,000 I mentioned, have in the last 4 years donated actually over 1.5 million days. This is one of the biggest data sets that exist in terms of its breadth and how many different categories of data we have, and it's perfectly cleaned when it runs through our sets. And we've been very fortunate to have this donated under strict research consent, and I want to share a little bit on what we did with that. But before, one more point, next slide. As I said, the data that's been donated so far has been a very strict consent for research only, and it's a bit difficult to give this to people if it's not an institution, like a research institution, like a university, for example. I'm going to get to that in a second, but we today released a new version on the point of the hackathon, but it will be online afterwards as well, where we introduce a new consent that's for community data, where that would allow us to actually donate data to the community directly, and that we can serve data like this to the hackathon with a bit less restrictions than we have on the other consent. I know this is a bit of a delicate topic, and data is a fundamental human right, according to GDPR and many other well-written laws, and so it is very strict. There is very, very strong limitations on what I will be able to do with this. There is no commercial ties to this that I'm allowed to have ever. So please read through it and consider supporting it. This data will go directly to projects like Trio and Android APS and all of the amazing community that we're here in the room with. And so it's built for driving community and open source projects further, because I think we've come so far and we've led the way for industry so many times that maybe my gut feeling is a bit of data that we can work with would help us to take the next step and kind of show them where we want it to be, where we want solutions to be. And so one more word on the whole data topic for the community consent. I'm also not going to be the one deciding who gets access. This is also aligned with the community steward, with data stewards in the community. So that's going to be project leaders, like many people in the call, like the people from Trio, like the people from Loop. So it's also not going to be my decision. I don't want any gatekeeper position in that at all. So this really is a means for us to share this data back with you. Yes, so next slide. Because there was syntactic mentioned before, the main reason why we founded the company beginning of the year, okay, the chat, nice. The main reason why we started the company beginning of the year was because we wanted to share the donated data with research organizations. And we realized that it would be much better for us in terms of liability reasons, just on a base level, to not be me as a private person. And so we founded the company to accelerate research in healthcare. Cockpit was my project, and so it came with me. That was necessary because otherwise Syntactic wouldn't be able to license the data to universities or to other research organizations so that they can use it. And when I say license, I don't mean for money. We do it for free. There's no cost involved for the universities that use and research the data. And obviously that means we maintain a strong commitment. Next down. And so this is one of the coolest slides that I'm very happy to present today. There's a lot of universities that work and actively research for free with the data that has been donated. Every university that you see, and a lot of faces that you see also in the call, have been very happy and very fortunate and very, very nice in working with us. And we're very, very honored to help them push research forward. We've started this year, and there's already been, I think, 4 publications out on the major conferences, and we're having many more in the pipeline. So please know that the data that you donate under strict research consent is put to very, very good use. You're making a lot of researchers very, very happy. and you're actively contributing to pushing the boundaries of what we know, particularly when it comes to behavior, to heart rate, to prediction based on sport, to menstruation topics where we also have projects going on. So really, really big thank you. This slide is really honoring the commitments and the responsibility that everyone who donated put in our hands. Exactly. One more point that I wanted to make for the hackathon, what Syntactic is doing. Can we switch? Yes. Thank you, Amy, so much. Syntactic also, since having Cockpit on is not free, and we also need to live from something, and we're doing this at the moment full time, we decided that the best means of accelerating research would be providing tools for other companies to push their own research further. That means we're building a platform that allows to take sensitive data that a company has and offer it to host it on their turf, and allow them to do research much quicker. This is a tool that we also used with universities when they did research on the donated data. In this case, it's connected to the donations I talked about before because it's a research use case. In the whole enterprise use case, this is their data. But we've been able, for example, to bring timelines down from many weeks down to a week. So I think it was 6 or 8 weeks in one case. That is usually the project timeline to get a new paper out, and we managed to bring it down to 1 week. And this is also something we want to give free access to for the hackathon, along with all the data that gets donated to the hackathon, through the community content, which is going to be at the hackathon. And I'm very happy to see what we can do with that. We're going to have the platform that enables all sorts of research. It's connected to a Jupyter notebook. So Dana, please, let's talk. I think this is very close to what you've been putting in the room. And we're going to have a lot of data to share, and I hope we can make the best out of it. And so next slide, and I'm done soon. Please, let's look together into new solutions. We have I think it's over 1,200 months of data with menstruation that contains often insulin, sport, glucose, carbs, everything you could basically want. It's perfectly cleaned and ready to go. We can work on new prediction models using the platform that I showed you before that include exercise targets or basal rates or anything else you want to do that will be at your service, or work on what I think would be very cool because it's plaguing me a bit lately, is predicting severe lows ahead of time, where there's a few cool things that I think we could do. So thank you very much for the attention and for the invite, Amy. If there's any questions, happy to take them. I'm also going to be in Vancouver, which I'm fucking amazing. So I'm looking forward to that and see some of you there, hopefully. I lost track of all the messages.
Thank you,
Please
Lucas.
do it in the Q&A.
Yeah, if you look in the Q&A, there's one question in there from Dylan. Do you see that one?
Yes, exactly. So there is the question is underage people, minors. Yes. So when you sign up, there is actually an age bracket, and we also take the age directly from Apple Health if it's set there. And obviously, any data from minors is excluded from any project essentially. When can we expect? I think when we designed experiments, then I thought it would be so cool if you could try features of closed loop systems and then see exactly how the impact is for you. And so, I mean, I'm in Vancouver. Let's definitely talk. I think that'd be a pretty kick-ass marriage, if you ask me.
Okay. Any more formal questions for Lucas right now? If you got one, plug it in there. Otherwise, thank you so much, Lucas. And we're going into our discussions.